The EP Podcast. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at theeppodcast.com.
And welcome into the EP Podcast. My name is Chris Lanuti. A late release on a Monday afternoon. This came out. Most of you probably won't even recognize that happened because you listen on demand whenever it is convenient to you. We are on demand anywhere podcasts can be found and always at the eppodcast.com, and brought to you proudly by the First National Bank of Evergreen Park, located in that iconic building at 95th and Pulaski. They are dedicated to supporting this area with great banking tools and friendly service. A true community bank that provides this neighborhood with customized financial solutions like Total Access Checking. That is an account with free ATMs nationwide. Plus, when you open a Total Access Checking account today, you get a $300 bonus. Open online at bankevergreenpark.com/totalaccess/EP. $100 required to open. Requirements to qualify. Must use link to apply. Member FDIC. That Total Access Checking comes in handy when you're traveling like I was over the last week or so, because wherever I needed cash, whatever fee was charged by the ATM, let's say in the airport or whatever, got paid back to me. And that's the advantage of having Total Access Checking with First National Bank of Evergreen Park. And that's the reason why the show's out a little bit late, because I just got in from Wichita, a place where nobody wants to go. And I know nobody wants to go there because there are no direct flights. Like, I flew Southwest, and I know other people that flew other airlines in and out of Wichita this past week, and everybody had the same problem. Like, there's no direct flight. Like, nobody wants to go to the middle of Kansas at all. Like, my options were fly over it and go to Denver or Las Vegas and then fly back, or go to St. Louis, and there was like one flight a day, it seemed like, from St. Louis to Wichita, and then back from Wichita to St. Louis. It was ridiculous. And when you got on the flight, like on the way there, the pilot was standing there laughing, going, just take an entire aisle, take a whole row. The whole row's yours. There's like 40 people on this plane. It was like a full plane with all kinds of empty space on it. Like, drink service happened twice on an hour-long flight because they had nothing else to do because nobody was there. And on the way back was the exact same thing. So I am convinced, especially after being there, there's a reason for it, but like, this is a place that nobody goes to. Like, the people that live there never leave, and the people that go there only go because, let's say, they have something they have to be there for. It was a crazy week, a rough week, something I don't know if I'll ever get into fully, but I surrounded myself with my children when I got back. My buddy, I mentioned it on the show last week, lost his 17-year-old son in a tragic car accident on the way to school. And I went out there, and the group of friends of ours, we kind of split it up a little bit. So it was my shift to just make sure that they were eating. Again, Wichita, no food selection either. Like, just imagine a place devoid of restaurant options. But just making sure they were eating and just being there when they needed help. And that's pretty much what I did. And it was like 5 days in which I just felt completely drained. I got back on Sunday late, and it was stay up late and do the EP podcast or hug the kids and go to sleep. So I apologize if Monday morning you didn't have the show. I never do this, but that's why we have an afternoon release. The good news is we've got a nice, lively, fun guest that's going to join us here for the show. We've got a full 30 minutes of good for you and a lot of things going on around Evergreen Park. And I've already been working this morning on next week's show because I just went and did a trivia contest in which the mayor, the president of the Chamber of Commerce, Sarah Klein, and a couple of doctors all competed against each other. And I've already recorded that for next week's show. So I'm already hard at work, but let's get into this show. All right. It's the EP Podcast, 30 minutes of good and a world of dumb, right here, everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at the eppodcast.com. I have a confession to make. It's true, and I'm guessing you have done the same thing. Put more time into thinking about what's for dinner than preparing for your retirement. But if you think your retirement needs deserve more attention, I agree with you, and I want to help you out. I've got a local, experienced, down-to-earth guy who's a friend of this show. He's got a get-to-know-you approach and do the right thing values, and he's been around for over 20 years right here on the South Side. His name is Tom Walsh. He's located on the corner of 111th and Kedzie, and he's waiting for your call. In times of financial uncertainty, how can you stay on track? Call someone who's invested in your success. Reach out to Tom now, 773-779-0023, or pop in at the office right on 111th and Kedzie. Tell him we sent you. Edward Jones, Making Sense of Investing, member SIPC. Joining me this week, I appreciate him stopping by. You're a whole 30 minutes of entertainment yourself, Frank Murray from the Evergreen Park Public Library. How are you?
I'm doing good, Chris. 30 minutes of entertainment. That's a new thing I can add to the tagline.
That's what you are now. That's what you are now. So look, you have so many different things that are going on all the time. We're already kind of in the thick of April at this point. I normally try to get to you at the end of a month or right at the start of a month, and I got to you a little bit late.
That's
so
right.
If you dip into May a little bit here, that's fine. I understand. But I mean, there's so much that you're doing. I was like, well, if I only have like 3 weeks of what's going on at the library, it's still like an entire show because you have so many things that you're doing. So what is the big thing right now? Is it Easter centric? Is it something else? What is going on over at the library?
Well, we got a ton of stuff going on. Like right now.
Yeah, but I want the big thing.
You want the big thing.
I want your most important thing. You got to lead with the hook, with the thing that's going to draw the rest of them in, where they hear it and they go, wow. If that's the first thing, I can't wait to hear the second thing. I'm telling you, that's how this works. Otherwise, you got to have a tease. Otherwise, you got to say, look, the big thing is coming up at the end, and you're not going to want to miss it because it'll change your life. You got to go one way or the other.
Well, I've got a tease for you at the end of this because we got something that's going to be available in May that I'm really excited about. So that'll be my tease for next month's podcast. If I'm invited back, hopefully.
I don't know.
Hopefully.
It all depends on your performance on the show.
But I'm going to have a lot of people at the library upset with me having to pick the one thing that's going to be the big thing.
No, I want you to crush somebody.
Well,
I want you to make somebody's day and crush everybody else. Because what happens here, in case people didn't hear this before when Frank comes in, this is a big deal for the folks over at the library. Frank knows he's coming over. He goes around, he tells them all, I'm going on the podcast.
Going on the podcast.
A couple of them go, what's a podcast? He explains it to them like, I told you this last month. There's this guy, he does this show in Evergreen Park, and they normally look at him like, what, are you nuts? And anyway, so he gets all the information of everything that's going on, but I would imagine that there's like a healthy competition, like, hey, make sure my thing's the big thing. And now here you are, I'm putting you on the spot. Who has the biggest thing going on at the library this month?
And just because you mentioned it, Chris, we do have a lot of listeners on library staff. They love the podcast.
That's good.
So they definitely know what a podcast is.
All right. Well,
if you're gonna twist my arm, and he's twisting my arm right now.
Thing.
It hurt. Right, it's hurting right now.
Yeah.
We're doing several Earth Day activities. We're partnering with the Evergreen Park Library Foundation and the Evergreen Park Environmental Commission to offer a series of different events centered around Earth Day. But what makes this even more special is that it's honoring a very dear resident who was very involved with the Library Foundation and also very involved with the Chamber of Commerce, Helen Cooperson.
Oh, I liked Helen a lot. What a wonderful person. I was really sad when I heard that she passed away. She was a big supporter of the show. She was like one of those people who would come up and talk to me. I'm like, you listen to my show? She's
like, yes.
Like, really? Like, she was one of the first. I want to say that she was like one of the first people that walked up and said, I love this and, it's great. And I had to explain to her how to listen to it, I remember. And then she was an avid listener. Yeah.
She would have been a fantastic guest. Your last episode you had me on, you were like, Frank, come on, you need to talk about something controversial, something really exciting, something. She would have had it.
I want to say we were talking about it, and then the whole crazy pandemic thing, I don't know if you remember that, broke out. Okay, it might. I don't know if that's fresh in your mind anymore.
I might be a little familiar with it. Yeah.
Anyway,
but hey, so have
Earth Day. This is the big thing.
We actually have 4 different events that I'm going to go through here to promote here. And again, these are with our Library Foundation and then the Evergreen Park Environmental Commission. We're all
is it Earth Day
together.
or Earth Week? Are you doing this all in one day?
It's kind of like Earth, maybe kind of like Earth Week, because there's a couple days.
Earth Week.
There's a couple days. So the first one is on Friday, April 22nd at 1 p.m. The event is called Plant Folklore, and it's going to be presented by the Cook County Forest Preserves.
Plant folklore?
Mm-hmm. Going to be, getting you the information on your local native plants.
Yeah, but what's the folklore about it? Is there a plant that's got magical powers that I'm not aware of? Is there a plant that can sing a ballad? Is there a plant that hides elves? Like, what's the folklore behind it?
You're going to have to
Did
attend.
one of these plants start the Chicago fire?
That could have been what was tickling the cow that knocked over the land.
Really?
I'm not giving the presentation.
Plant folklore. I tell you, come up with the biggest thing you can come up with. You come up with plant folklore.
Hold on. I'm not done yet.
What's the rest?
We got now this is really popular. House plant swap. It's going to be Saturday. So Saturdays are big day. Saturdays are big day in honoring Helen. So
like pick up your plant, you bring it in, another plant, somebody else brings a plant, you swap house plants.
It's very popular. We also have a seed swap that's really popular too. Like we have, upwards of 50 to 100 people coming through to exchange seeds or plants.
I just want to get this right.
Yeah.
Somebody goes out, they select a plant. They have this plant in their house. They look at this plant, they go, you know what, I'm sick of this plant. Mm-hmm. I feel bad for the plant. As my 6-year-old would tell me, the plant is alive, probably has feelings. Okay, so now they're going to take the plant, they're going to bring it over to the library, and they're going to swap it with somebody else's plant. That's how this is going to work.
They might divide it, they might split it up. So there's a couple different ways you can do it. I'm not the person that you should be talking to about how
swapping plants.
They're swapping plants. That's going on Saturday, April 23rd.
You could have some interesting plants getting swapped. You better watch yourself.
10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
You better be sure on the legality in case one of them comes in with pointy leaves.
Hey,
okay?
All plants are welcome.
All plants are welcome. Really?
Now, now I just got Julie Keaty, who works at the library. She's like, no, Frank, no, that's not true. But no, we're having the house plant swap. House plants.
Right.
That's Saturday, April 23rd at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then also on Saturday, April 23rd at 11 a.m., we have the Brookfield Zoo and the Chicago Zoological Society coming out for No Scrap Left Behind. They're going to be providing a workshop on how to reuse common household items to create innovative garden resources.
Will they be bringing any animals to demonstrate this? Like maybe a small monkey that will walk around and demonstrate how the household items are used?
No, but that's going to be next month. Bear with me. No.
And, here's the thing. I feel like you stuffy librarians and zoo people and all the people that, you have these very important jobs about knowledge and, expanding people's minds. You need a guy like me who adds that extra touch, the crazy self-promoting marketing guy who would sit there and tell you, if you're going to do something with the zoo where you're going to demonstrate how to use household items in special ways.
Have the bald eagle come.
Yeah, like in Peacemaker, if you've seen that show. Don't watch it if you get offended by anything at all. It's just maybe the raunchiest show I've ever seen on television on HBO with John Cena. But he had an eagle that did special tasks. I was thinking more of monkeys. Monkeys
okay.
To me are funny. I can imagine a monkey showing you a new way to use a mop. Okay.
I'll have to check with the zoo to see if they'll allow this. But Chris, I'm writing this down right now.
To me, this seems like
a guy like
a no-brainer. Okay. If the monkeys come into the library
and while you're giving the talk
about and while you're giving the talk about you can use these household items in different ways for Earth Day, the monkeys are demonstrating it. Start thinking a little bit outside the box, Frank. I want to get a bigger crowd in the library for you.
Duly noted. I appreciate that. We're always looking for more people to come in. So that's all going down Saturday, April 23rd. Houseplant swap, No Scrap Left Behind, presented by the Brookfield Zoo. And at the end of those programs around 1 o'clock, we're going to be having a drawing for the basket that our Library Foundation has put together in honor of Helen Cooperson.
Okay.
So anyone's interested, you can come on in or give us a call to purchase tickets for that raffle. But it's an amazing basket set related
Do you know what's in the basket?
To household plant items. It's all geared around
earthy.
Gardening, earth. Yeah, it's one of Helen's favorite topics, so we wanted to gear it around that.
All right, that sounds cool.
So
that was your big thing. The big thing is Earth Week. That's what we've got.
That's what we got
We're
going
going to
on.
have more stuff here in just a moment with Frank. I'm going to give him a chance to kind of write down some notes on monkeys and the proper use of them. And also I'm going to explain to him why you can't say just bring any plant you want to the plant exchange. I don't think he understands it. This is the EP Podcast. Building relationships, supporting the community, and service. These are the things that Country Financial stands for. They're more than just an office you may pass by as you drive through Evergreen Park. They're neighbors who lend a helping hand and support the fabric of your community, including charitable organizations, sports, financial education, and civic organizations. And since Country is already your neighbor, they want to get together and chat. Call your local Country Financial representative, Mike Thauer, today at 708-425-1559 to talk about the things that are important to you and how he can help you protect them. So before we get to the rest of your stuff, I want to give you an opportunity to get into it. I wanted to have somebody here while I hatch this idea that I have for the EP podcast to get a reaction. I want to know what you think of it. Okay. So over the years, like we started this company 4 years ago. I made the broadcast basement. I didn't know what it was going to be. I used to be a radio broadcaster. I knew I wanted to do podcasts. I knew I wanted to launch a couple of them in my original group of podcasts. One of my ideas was the local podcast that became the EP podcast, which I think launched in the fall, and I had started the company in the spring officially. Okay, so I'm sitting around, and I put out all these things, and the model always was, Frank, that I wanted it to be free to people. I didn't want it to be a subscription service, and I wanted it to be something that was run by advertising, which is what it's been. Right. It's something that's always been run by advertising. And I've listened to people who have said, like, wouldn't it be great if we could cut down on some of the ads? I'm like, yeah, but, you know, the Lanuti kids need to eat, right? Like, that's the thing, you know? I mean, I got to pay tuition. Right, like, stuff shows up, you know? I mean, Mrs. Lanuti, like, you know, there's something wrong with the car every month. Somebody broke the screen door the other day. Nobody wants to.
Nobody's owning up to it.
Nobody wants to own up to it. All of a sudden, it was like the screen door's broke. I look at it. They're like, oh, maybe it's just a piece that came out. Frank, a piece of metal broke off of another piece of metal. Like a violent action occurred that somebody knows that they broke that door. And I've got 4 people in this house that just keep shrugging at me. Like it's an act of God.
I don't know, Dad. I was fine when I went through it. Yeah.
I'm suspecting the wife, to be honest with you, but it could be one of the kids. Okay.
It was before I just got here.
No, it was before you just got here. Okay. The only one I'm sure didn't do it is the 6-year-old because he doesn't possess the force to break the door the way it's broken.
Might be surprised. It could be the 6-year-old.
But this is why we have commercials. Okay, so that I could fix these things. But I've had some people say, like, you know, wouldn't it be great if, you know, there were a few less? And wouldn't it be great if I could donate? I get a lot of people come to me like, how do I keep the podcast going? And I always go, you don't have to do anything. The podcast runs on its own. We have all these fine businesses in Evergreen Park. They run advertisements on it that, like, you know, we're good. Right. I always turn down the donations. What I've decided to do is start something new. We're going to be announcing it officially in the next couple of weeks. It's going to be almost like a club for EP podcast listeners, where you can what you can do is you can just set up for just a couple of bucks a month, and you're going to get, you know, giveaways, discounts at places, prizes, early access to things, you know, special broadcasts and interviews that you can't get otherwise. Kind of like a bonus thing for the listeners. If it takes off, I can reduce the commercials, right? I can do that, and I can make it, and you know, I mean, I can kind of cut things back a little bit, and I can make it so that there's more show and less ads. That's kind of what the idea is. If it doesn't work, it'll just be something I kind of throw at the wall and it doesn't stick. But that's the plan right now. What you work at a library?
There are a lot of ideas that get thrown at the wall. You know, see if it sticks.
Well, I think you're a good person to ask this for because you work at a library where I'm sure you take donations. And you know, is it hard to kind of put that out there? Like, hey, you know, if you do this, or if you donate this, or if you help out this, we can provide more. I always feel like I'm begging when I do that stuff. Like that's why I never wanted to ask for it. But I've had so many people say, like, how can I help the show? And I'm always like, we're good. We're fine. Show does great. You could hear it. We got plenty of ads. I got plenty of shows, all this other stuff. But I've heard the 2 complaints of, could we get a few less ads? Can I help the show? I'm like, well, if you want to pay for it, I'll take your money.
Sure, yeah.
But I mean, like, how do you go about doing that kind of stuff? Is that awkward for you when you're working in a library?
Click here and donate. You know, and that's why exactly the reason we have a library foundation is that's one of their primary responsibilities is to seek out alternative funding for the library and to not only advocate for the library, but to help us in that field. And currently our foundation is made up of several people who've got that background and interest, and we're just really excited about it.
Yeah, and so what these guys do, they get together, they figure out ways to have people support the library. So some of the events that you have are really like fundraising events. Do you have any of those coming up soon? Do we have a fundraising event?
We do not.
Okay, well, let's get on it.
I will hopefully, I'm hoping to have an official announcement for you in the May podcast.
When is the Sip and Sample coming? That's what I want to know.
Sip and Sample is taking, unfortunately, a hiatus for 2022.
Really?
Yes.
My favorite thing.
We're coming.
My favorite thing, Frank.
I think we're going to have a second favorite thing for you.
Yeah?
Yeah. What we got
is that
kind
coming
of
in May?
It's kind of a little thing, kind of a twist of the Sip and Sample.
Okay.
A twist.
All right.
It's
Shots and books.
It's not
Shots and books.
There we go. There's the promotion. Shots and books.
Shots and books.
At the library. 9400 South Troy. Shots and books.
It is now time for your EP podcast, Word on the Street, brought to you by Cool Clouds Vapor Shop, located right here in Evergreen Park at 3837 West 95th Street. Actually, Reed Nuthall, recently on the show. Go back and listen. He was talking not only about all the things they do, they try to help people quit smoking. Quitting smoking is hard, and they have a lot of options and a way to try to get you off of cigarettes. He talks about the harm reduction, moving from cigarettes to vaping products, and also talks about how if you're not a smoker, he does not want you coming in there and starting a habit inside of his place. It was a great interview. If you want to check out what they have to offer, get off of the cigarettes, 3837 West 95th Street, or visit coolcloudsvapor.com. Reed also has a brand new business opening up at Evergreen Park. So again, if you missed it, go back, check it out on demand. What's going on this week? Well, the Most Holy Redeemer Men's Club is getting ready for a golf outing. Their annual outing happening on May the 6th. That's a Friday. Shotgun start at 11 a.m. at Stony Creek Golf Course nearby at 103rd and Central. There is a bus available to take you there and back from Porter Cullen's here in the EP. 2-hour dinner and drinks afterwards. The cost is $125 per person, and registration is up right now at mhrmensclub.com. Speaking of golf, the driving range is open over at 50 Acre Park. Get over there every day from the moment the sun comes up until the sun goes down at dusk. 91st and Rockwell, if there is not an attendant there is a vending machine for you to get a bucket of balls. It is Holy Week, which means Easter is on its way. All kinds of different events at the local churches. And of course, there are events here in the EP. The Youth Center is having some activities this week. Dye an Easter egg Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the 12th, 13th, and 14th. 3 p.m. until 5 p.m. There is an Easter egg hunt on Thursday, April 14th from 4 to 4:30. If you have any questions, go over 3450 West 97th Street, room 105, or call 708-229-3377. And after Easter is over this Sunday, do not forget about the spaghetti luncheon being put on by the Evergreen Park Senior Council. Community Center, 11 a.m. on Thursday, April 21st. There will be entertainment, and the cost is only $10. Purchase your tickets at the Community Center by Monday the 18th. So you got a week. More information, 708-422-8776. And in nearby Oak Lawn at the Amazon Fresh, they are having a thing all week, actually longer than a week, April 13th through the 24th, Amazon Fresh Food Fest. They've got giveaways, snacks, sips, deals, and all kinds of stuff around the Amazon Fresh. You can check that out over there. That's your Word on the Street. This is the EP Podcast. Frank Murray's got more stuff, actually, right?
Awesome. So we've got a couple author events. We've got 3 author events coming up. We've got former EP resident Anna Marie Kukach-Tomzak coming on Tuesday, April 21st at 6:30. She's going to be presenting on her book, We Are Eagles. That's going to be in person and Zoom. So those who want to attend that have multiple ways. But her book is about 5 women that immigrated, and she's following them through a 25-year period and how they succeeded in life after attending the Aurora-based Dominican Literacy Center. And then on April 27th at 7 p.m. of Parks and Rec fame and best-selling author, New York Times best-selling author, Nick Offerman.
Oh, no. Nick Offerman's coming to town?
Nick Offerman will not be in town.
Oh, come on.
But he will be via Zoom.
Oh, my goodness.
And this is done in conjunction with our Illinois...
Yeah, we're all excited. I was like,
he's going to be there. You can watch him.
No,
I
want him in person. I want my Nick Offerman in person.
We'll try to get him in person. But for right now, he's going to be on Zoom. And this is done in conjunction with the library's new programming cooperative agreement system called Illinois Libraries Presents. We've all teamed up together to get big name authors. And Nick Offerman is going to be appearing on Zoom April 27th at 7 p.m. And for any Wilco fans, I guess Nick Offerman's a hiking buddy and just overall friend, Jeff Tweedy, will join the conversation as well.
Right.
So
there are Wilco fans. I've never really listened to Wilco, but when you meet a Wilco fan, man, they are like obsessive over Wilco.
Well,
it's like a big deal for them.
Nick will be there. He'll be talking about a lot of things, but his newest book is Where the Deer and the Antelope Play, and he'll be discussing that. And then the next day, on Thursday, April 28th at 6:30 p.m., we're going to be having award-winning journalist, former columnist and reporter from the Chicago Tribune, Dawn Turner. She's going to be discussing her book, Three Girls from Bronzeville. Again, that's Thursday, April 28th at 6:30 p.m. It is Zoom, so please register in advance.
So let me ask you a question about this. I know why the authors do it. The authors do these talks because they want to generate interest in the book so that people will go buy the book. And then also I think that anybody that sits down and writes a book wants people to tell them how wonderful it is. So they go and they do this for like self-affirmation. Like they want to sit there so they can be like, I wrote this book because I wanted to put my feelings on paper. And people are like, your feelings are great. Your book touched me in a special way. And they're like, oh, I feel real good about myself. They go have a sandwich, a Coke, and a smile. Afterwards, they're very, very happy, right? I would imagine that's what it's like. What do you get as the library out of the book talks? Do you get a big crowd? What is the benefit to the library? Because I know how it benefits the author, and I know how it benefits the fan. But what is the benefit to the library?
Well, the benefit of the library is taking that our lifelong approach to learning and literacy a step forward and getting the author to come. People want to interact with the author. They want to, hopefully we can get back to really big in-person events here and have these big name authors come to the library. But right now it's mostly Zoom. But people want to make that connection and talk to the author and tell them how important, like you were just saying, that book moved me in this way. This book really connected with me because of A, B, or C. Thank you for writing it. Or, hey, in chapter 3, you discuss this, you talk about this. What was your, they want to delve more into the book and actually get that opinion and that perspective from the author. I think people really find it cool. Plus,
they also want the autographs, though. That's why you got to get back in person. You got to get back in person because people want the autographs on the inside of the book.
Chris, I think we all know you're a huge Sox fan. So it's like you going and meeting like Joe Creedy or Paul Canerco or Luis Robert. You're going to you want to meet that person. Yeah. He's like he's a hero. He's someone you look up to.
Joe Creedy wouldn't sign my thing. He was hungover. He was in a bad mood. He was hungover. He was in a bad mood. He signed my daughter's.
Oh, there you go.
She walked up to him and he was like hungover and everybody around him was like, hey kid, he's like having a bad morning. And you could tell Joe Creedy had tied one on the night before. And I'm telling you, Joe Creedy looks like he's tied a few on since he got out of baseball. Okay. And I think there was rug burn on his face where he fell asleep that night. Okay. But don't quote me on it. And she walks up and he didn't want anything to do with her. He wasn't going to sign anything. And she told him how she was a third baseman. And my dad says that I play third base like Joe Creedy. And I think she was just making up crap because she wanted an autograph, but he fell for it and he signed it. So he signed it. I'm like, hey, Joe, can I get one too? No.
No.
That's exactly what he said. He just looks at me. No.
You're not an aspiring third baseman. Get out of here.
I'm her father. Can I have one? No.
Hey, he was probably up late one night singing too many Journey songs.
He was up late. He was having a good time.
Too many Journey songs. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad your daughter got the autograph.
What else do we have here? I want to kind of fly through a few more of these.
In the teen world, we've got a Skype with a Scientist coming up on April 21st. We have Dr. Heather Abernathy from the University of Wyoming. We've teamed up with an organization called Skype with a Scientist just to promote science a little bit more, get kids engaged in that field. And that is who they teamed us up with. And she's going to be talking about the importance of coyotes, especially in our region here. They've kind of gone away, and they
seem like they just kind of pop up out of nowhere and try to eat small dogs.
Well, hey, Dr. Abernathy is going to explain why that's so important.
That's important?
Yes.
I mean, I can see other animals, but not my dog. Okay, they're going to take out other animals. I mean, there's a lot of rabbits in Evergreen Park.
You got to make sure the food chain stays intact, Chris.
Wow.
Watch out. Just keep the dogs.
And my dog's in the food chain?
Keep the dogs.
Watch out. You are in some trouble right now.
Watch out. To keep the dogs out, keep them fenced, keep them away.
Okay.
We're also partnering with the EP Youth Department. Yes, we got a couple partnerships actually with them. The first one is related to sustainability and the environment. We got the Cook County Office of Sustainability and Environment coming out to teach teens about composting. And we got a really nice program title here, Chris. I think you're going to love it. Do the Rot Thing.
Wow.
That's going to be Tuesday, April 19th at 4 p.m. This will not be at the library. It's going to be actually at the EP Community Garden at the community center.
What is the age group that you think uses the library events the most? Is it the teenagers? Is it the little kids with their parents? Like, what do you normally see? Because I'm sure there is an age group that is really into it far more than any other age group, right?
I mean, you mentioned a couple of those groups right there. We definitely see a lot of parents with their kids coming in. After school, the library is usually pretty full of kids after school.
Do the librarians yell at them for being too loud?
We're trying to change that perspective.
A lot of that stuff?
We're just trying to get kids and everybody to use the library in a responsible way.
No, but you're supposed to shush them. It's a rite of passage for these children. If you don't shush them now, what happens when they get shushed when they're older? Okay? They won't know how to react to the shush. You have to shush them now. That's what you have to do.
Little known fact, that's what we do at staff development days. We practice our shushing. No, we do not. Absolutely not.
You bring in a shushing specialist.
But we've got
explains how to do the proper shush.
We've got a great teen room where the kids can hang out in there, and because they're using the library a little bit differently than an adult, right. And they want to socialize a little bit more. They want to hang out and talk. So we've got a great teen room that's there for them. We've got some study rooms as well. And though back to the EP Youth Department though, this April is Poetry Month, so we're teaming up with them for a poetry workshop. Nancy Duffy's going to be working with the teens and showing them on Wednesday, April 20th at 6 p.m. About writing poetry. Okay. And that also is going to be at the EP Youth Department over at the Community Center, room 105.
All right. Kids doing poetry. I was never a poetry guy, okay? I had a hard time with it in school. I avoided it like the plague.
Roses are red, violets are blue.
I got nothing. All I got is dirty limericks. That's all I got.
That's for another podcast.
Half of them start with their ones with a boy from Nantucket. I mean,
and I can't forget our kids too, the younger kids. We got a really cool series coming up, animal art. It's Wednesday nights for the rest of April. So April, when the podcast hit, it'll be April 13th, 20th, and 27th. We're going to be learning some fun facts about different animals and creating them through different art supplies.
This is another place where you could use monkeys.
Can
you imagine a monkey?
One of them might
drawing a picture of a monkey, or a monkey drawing a picture of a kid while a kid is drawing a picture of a monkey. That's some meta stuff right there.
Boom, mind blown. Right,
exactly.
There. Mind blown right
outside the box. You got to get more outside the box.
We'll have to work with. I'll work with my team on this. We'll get down on this.
Take notes right there. Just write it down. Monkey drawing.
Monkey.
Children. Yes. Children. There you go.
Another show is wrapped up. Another show's in the books. Another show is wrapped up. And then by the looks, it's going to be a good one. And we'll see you next week. And the nude is basement. And the nude is basement. Another show is wrapped up. Another show is wrapped up. Another show is wrapped up. And it's in the books. Another show is wrapped up. Another show is wrapped up. And by the looks, it's gonna be a good one. It is basement. Broadcast basement. The nudist basement. The broad basement. Slancha.
The EP Podcast. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at the eppodcast.com.